Shut up and sit down.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the best podcast you've ever heard in your lives. Get ready for a real good one here today. It is the Con and Bob podcast. We're back here again. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, buddy. It's been a bit.
It has been a bit.
Yeah, apologies to everyone. There was some technical difficulties last week, not on my end.
It was on my end. Yeah, definitely on my end. Some internet issues.
It's unfortunate. Yeah. You know how much it hurt not to be with you guys for another week? That's 2 now, and
I know. Like,
let's keep it at 2. Let's cap it.
Yeah,
at 2.
we can't allow this to unravel. You know, we can't go down a downward spiral.
Exactly.
We got to be here for the Con and Bobaholics. All right, we got to be here.
Exactly. It feels good to be back. It feels good to speak to you. It feels good to speak to my Bob Club members.
Woo!
Bob hats and Bob Club shirts on Conman Shopify.
Like,
so
we're plugging. We are plugging at the start of a podcast, man. What type of amateur hour is this? What are we doing? What are we doing?
That's how all the podcasts go. They go through all their. Let's get this stuff over with so we can get into the good stuff.
Speaking of the good stuff, though, man, we have some really good news for the channel. Have you heard the great news yet, though? Like, have you heard it?
Yeah, of course.
You've heard it.
Yeah, of course I've heard it.
I'm not sure
the Con Artist shirts and the Bob Club shirts are in, and we can start selling them. They're up for grabs, people. The Bob hats are on the website. Go get them. That's what you're talking about, right?
100% what I'm talking about. I'm also talking about 100,000 subscribers.
100K.
100, baby. 100,000 subs. It's crazy. I think you made your very first appearance on the stream at Royal Rumble 2017. And at that time, did we not hit 20,000 subs that night? I
think we hit 20 or 30, but we
definitely wasn't
gained
30.
A lot.
Yeah, definitely wasn't 30, but yeah, 20. Like, I think we started it off at like 15K subs that night, ended like with 22. That sounds familiar. But it was insane. Like, that stream was awesome all the way back then, and that was the most viewed stream I ever had up until this weekend with the beautiful fight between McGregor and Khabib. I want to say thank you to all the new viewers, the new listeners, everybody like that, and thank you for allowing this 6-year goal of mine to reach 100,000 subscribers finally come true. I'm truly, truly blessed to be in the position I am, but we've got a podcast to do, don't we, man?
Yeah, but just let me touch on this quick, because I just want to say sincerely from the bottom of my heart, congratulations. I am proud of you, my brother. And the only negative thing about this is that I was not there to celebrate it with you.
It would have been perfect to have you here. The guy who has been with me like this entire journey. My pay-per-view pal.
Exactly.
It's but there's so much
a few short weeks away and we can be reunited again.
Ooh, again?
Again.
Oh, yes, Evolution. That's the one you're talking about, right?
Yes,
Evolution.
Of course. And then Crown Jewel. But, of course, there is more action before that. There's more wrestling to cover before that.
Of course. So why don't we put our wrestling caps on and let's get right into this. We had a great week of wrestling, in my opinion. I thought it was fantastic. Raw was great. Smackdown was great. 205 Live and NXT blew it out of the water. Overall, great show. Super Showdown overall was pretty good. I enjoyed it. And so let's dive into this, man. So do you want to cover Raw today, or do you want me to cover Raw?
I can cover Raw if you want.
We can
both cover it.
Sure.
I'll kick it off, though.
All right. You get flipping that pancake there.
Let's talk some Raw. So we opened up. We got a very special segment of without any backstabbing immediately after reuniting. Throwback to 2002, if you remember, which was an amazing one. Triple H and Shawn Michaels come out to the ring to talk about Triple H's match at Super Showdown and talk about where they're going forward. Basically, this segment literally gave me goosebumps.
It did for me as well, man. Like, just seeing Shawn Michaels back in that ring, it is one thing. But knowing that he was coming out of retirement with this speech, I was waiting for it. I was waiting for the announcement. I'm like, it's going to happen. It's got to happen. There's no way that they don't do this. And the fact that they're doing D-Generation X versus the Brothers of Destruction, this is my childhood. This is what I grew up on. Oh, man, dude. I'm just so excited for it.
Like you said, like them speaking, and it's funny because I think back to like the 90s and the early 2000s when they were super hot and everything, and as D-Generation X, they were like the top of the card as a stable, right? And Shawn always felt like the leader, right? He always felt like the leader back then. Yeah, because Hunter was younger, he was getting into it and everything, finding himself, and it legitimately feels like it feels like Hunter's a little bit more of the leader now, like Triple H is a bit more of the leader, but it's just still so good. And the established in 1997 shirts were sick.
They were. And
both those two guys are absolutely shredded.
Yeah, right? Like, how in the world are these, like, 50-year-olds more jacked than half of the roster?
Seriously, like, throw some milk on them because those two guys...
They need some milk.
They're shreddies. They're shreddies.
Oh my god, I love that.
Terrible joke. Terrible joke.
Yeah, I mean, you've done better.
I have done better, and I will do worse.
You will. That is a guarantee. You'll do worse on this podcast.
All right, let's move on though. Anything you want to add to
that? Overall, just really cool segment, and
just a great segment.
It's cool to see.
From that, we're getting, like you said, Brothers of Destruction, a DX at Crown Jewel. Moving on, we had Kevin Owens versus Lashley with Lio Rush. Now, this one,
okay,
great.
Let me stop you right there. I've got a great thing to say about this match here, because if you're watching the matchup from start to finish, Kevin Owens started out the match as the heel, and Lashley started out the match as the face. And that's how we went into it. Lio Rush had his face entrance. He had his face hype up. And Bobby Lashley was ready to go, looking like a clean-cut babyface. Smile on, everything. As the match went on, Lio Rush started goading Kevin Owens into attacking Bobby Lashley, and that's not the way that Kevin Owens does these things. He likes to be what's the word? Maniacal? Is that a word? I don't know. Yeah. He likes to be methodical. That's the word I'm looking for.
Methodical, yeah. Very Randy Orton, yes.
He likes to be methodical in the way he presents himself in a match. He likes to roll out of the ring at the start. But you know what was different in this matchup is when Kevin Owens rolled out of that ring at the very start, Bobby Lashley didn't go chasing. He didn't chase after Kevin Owens, thus taking him out of that mind frame that he was in. You know, the Kevin Owens that we know of.
Yep.
And Lio Rush continued to egg him on, saying he's not going to be able to do this suicide dive. So what does Kevin Owens do? He goes and does a suicide dive, takes himself out of his own game, and thus in the end cost
not really a
Kevin...
suicide. That was a senton, rolling senton over the top.
Yeah, Spaceman senton. Sorry, my bad. But yeah, like he totally...
He's not an athlete.
No, he's not an athlete. What is what Lio Rush was saying, and then Kevin Owens comes down and does that great maneuver there. But what I'm getting at here is that Lio Rush was able to manipulate the greatest manipulator other than Randy Orton in the WWE right now. And that is cool. That is a good character thing for Lio Rush to have, because now Lio Rush is the mouthpiece. He's the annoying mouthpiece of Bobby Lashley. He's what they wanted Abraham Washington to be back when he was partnered with the Primetime Players. This is the guy they're looking for. And Lio Rush has solely, single-handedly turned Lashley heel. And that is a good quality to have in a performer who can get it done in the ring and can also work his skills on the microphone. Lio Rush is fantastic, and he has saved Bobby Lashley's career from being stuck in the mid-card.
Yeah, I think so. I think this is we spoke about it a couple podcasts ago. If you haven't listened, go back listen. But where we talked about Lashley would be stuck as a face. Now, going on as a heel, we thought he had more potential.
Exactly.
And this is his opportunity.
Like, because we saw what he could do in TNA, right? As a heel, he's fairly talented.
Yeah. This match was very interesting to me because the match itself was a phenomenal storytelling match.
It really was.
And like you said, watching them come in as the face and the heel and then switching and everything along those lines. And Leo was great as he came out. I was like, oh, he just looks great. He's doing it. He's killing it.
It's a 23-year-old piece of gold.
Yeah, and then he had the mic, which was at first was a little awkward at moments.
Mm-hmm.
It still feels a little weird. It felt like they probably could have done that bit without the mic, but at the same time, they really wanted the entire audience to hear him, and I get it.
Mm-hmm.
So, like the live audience as well. So I understand that. And then moving on, like KO looked great. He was, he brought the fight to Lashley. He was kind of going out and showing like he's the prize fighter, right? You heard that Owens fight chant at one point.
How
and
cool.
I was like, yes.
Speaking of this, how excited are you for Kevin Owens' babyface run? Now that we hear how behind the crowd is with him.
I am so excited.
Mm-hmm.
I am so excited because we have not gotten to see a face Kevin Owens on the main roster.
We have not, but unfortunately we're going to have to wait for that as we have some sad news about Kevin Owens. He went under the knife, man. He was written off TV. Unfortunately, but there is a silver lining here in this story because now Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn have both been quote-unquote injured by Bobby Lashley. This newfound heel aggression from Bobby Lashley, I think this sets up perfectly in the future a return from Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in a babyface role to take out Bobby Lashley. When they come back, they need to bring them back together.
Leo Rush.
And Leo Rush. And Leo Rush, yeah. And Leo Rush. Nobody's been able to catch Leo Rush yet. He's too quick, right? So I guess that that would make sense back then, or if that ends up happening, if Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn take out Leo Rush and Bobby Lashley. But there's a ready-made story there as soon as they come back from injury.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. And just last thing on this segment, because we'll move on, is it's funny. I wrote down Lashley heel-ish because there were moments, and then by the end of the match, that was like partway through in the early portion.
Yep.
And then by the end, I put an X through ish.
Yeah, he's heel.
I was like,
heel. There's no
that's
doubt
a
about
heel.
It.
That is a heel. And it's amazing. Like the little things, like raise my arm, like him yelling at the ref, raise my arm.
Mm-hmm.
And then also shout out to the KO Stunner. The KO Stunner is one of my favorites.
Great. Did he get permission from Steve Austin to use that in like a podcast?
A while ago.
I think he did, right?
Called him out, and asked if he could use it when that was way back. I can't remember.
Yeah, because like he had just recently debuted on the main roster. This was shortly after his match with Cena, I think, if I'm not mistaken. That he had that
I can't remember when, but he gave him his blessing. Mm-hmm. And then also like Kevin Owens, unfortunate going under the knife and everything, but he is incredible, man. Like the little things again, just the fact that his knee is all banged up, and that's what Lashley went after. And then after he hit his finisher, the pin being the leg that Lashley hooked was the leg that KO was like hurt on. His knee,
and so if he kicks out, it would hurt.
Well, the fact that being wrenched up like that would be painful, and just literally from the pin, you heard Kevin Owens screaming in pain from having his leg hooked up, and I'm like, that is brilliant, man.
He's just he's so attentive to those little details, and he is WWE's MVP. You can throw him in any role, and he will kill it. You can throw him with anybody, and he will kill it. You can throw him as a heel, a babyface. It doesn't matter. He is the most versatile player in the WWE, and arguably WWE's most valuable player as well. They're going to be hurting.
Paid the big bucks there.
They're going to be hurting without him. It also makes me wonder if, like a couple weeks ago when they did the whole quitting angle, if his knee was injured then, and then they just took a quick look at their roster and said, you know what, we could use Kevin Owens to turn Bobby Lashley heel, and that's why they brought him back from being fired, and now he's going under the knife. I think that's what happened. I think that is WWE just doing short-term booking, saying, oh, okay, Kevin Owens needs to go underneath the knife, let's have him quit. Oh, crap, we could have actually written this a better way. Let's have him come back and attack Bobby Lashley, and then Bobby Lashley write him off TV. Yeah. I do think that's what ended up happening. I do think that's why the whole quitting storyline got dropped really quick.
Yeah, like far too quick.
Far too quick. And you know what, though?
But I like
I'm okay. I'm completely okay with Kevin Owens quitting for a week, coming back. And then, you know, now he's going underneath the knife. I'm okay forgetting about the quitting thing because we got a heel turn for Bobby Lashley in the end, which is really what he needed.
Well, it'll be even better if Lashley literally becomes that dominator. He starts tearing through the roster and just destroying everyone. And then he's on this run that's just incredible as a heel. And then the one dude that comes back to shut him down, two dudes. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on, though, we had Elias's weekly segment. You know, just funny, great as always. Continues to be amazing. He continues to be over as can be. Like, he could do this same segment forever, and I don't know that it'll ever get boring.
I don't think it will either. And also, I'm noticing this now with Kevin Owens, is he has found his niche for getting cheap heel heat. He is attacking. Who did I say there?
Kevin Owens.
Oh, I totally did. Yeah.
You got KO on the mind, buddy.
I got KO on my mind. No, yeah, but like he's gonna continue to perform in these segments and do it well. And I don't think, like you said, he's ever gonna be able to get boring. You know, he's found his niche. He can always get a cheap heel reaction from the crowd just by simply digging in on their hometown sports team, and it's an easy way. It's a very easy way to get heel heat.
Cheap heat. It's cheap heat, and there's another guy that does it very similar, and that's The Miz. Does that where he rips on the town that he's in.
It's no different than a babyface coming out and saying, "We're right here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada," right?
Yeah,
like, and then it's yay for our city that I'm not actually from. I just drove an hour and a half to be here.
I drove an hour and a half to be here. Yay!
Yay for being near me.
He's kind of talking about me.
Yeah.
Anyway, this then Ronda interrupted him. Elias just kind of left, which was whatever, fine and everything. And
yeah, Elias just kind of faded off. I think he's a good transitional segment, right? That's what he's there
and then Ronda and the Bellas came out to face the Riot Squad, and Liv Morgan looked great.
Thank you for saying that. I was thinking that as well.
She was awesome
throughout that entire match.
In ring, and like her wrestling, and like physically and aesthetically, she looks great always.
I like the pink hair. It's a subtle move for breast cancer awareness, and I love it.
True, I did not even think about that.
Yeah, it's a very subtle move, not brought to the forefront, but I love it. I love seeing that.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. It's always nice when you like know the heels are kind of nice people.
Oh yeah, like Liv Morgan is like the biggest sweetheart there is. If you've ever seen like any of her stuff, like she just seems like the sweetest girl. But
surprisingly, the Liv Brie thing is something that I really want to see.
Here we go. I've got that written down right here. I say I want to see Liv versus Brie at Evolution, even if it's on the pre-show. I don't know if you can get it on the main card, but I would love to see a pre-show match of Brie Bella versus Liv Morgan. I mean, why the hell not? You know, that has a story behind it, that has internet push behind it. It had some backlash with the fans. It has divided fans on a very sensitive topic. Why the hell not?
Yep. And it just looked good. And they did all these little things throughout it, like even just having Ronda tag in and like after Sarah tagged in, just the aspect that like there's a possibility that down the road Sarah Logan can take on Ronda, right?
Like these girls in the Riot Squad are so young as well. Like they've got such a big future that their win-loss record right now, no, it's not great, but they are putting on fantastic matches each and every single week. And the Riot Squad, since coming over to Raw, they have an identity now. You know, they don't feel like they're just another player on SmackDown Live. They have an identity, and they're actually a big part of the show. I think, too, the issue that they had when they debuted was what was it, the day after... Absolution. Yep, the day after Absolution.
Debuted.
And I do think,
like, oh my God.
I do think the role that the Riot Squad is in right now is the role they had mapped out for Absolution. Like something along this line, like with Paige being the forefront, kind of like Ruby Riot, and then the other two in the background, but they're having lots of tag matches. I do think that was the way that it was designed to happen with Paige and Absolution. But obviously, you know, just a few short weeks after she got injured, she had to retire as well. So it was just very unfortunate timing. So I think the Riot Squad benefited from that and benefited from the move over to Raw big time, because now they feel like big stars. And I can totally see in the future, once they get this like experiment with Ronda over as the champion, because she won't be champion forever, I could totally see Ruby Riott being next in line to kind of capture it, you know, to be the next heel champion sort of thing.
Yeah.
I could totally see that. Don't know how they would take the title off of Ronda and put it onto Ruby, so you might need someone in there as well. Honestly, Riot Squad, Ruby Riott especially, there's big things in the future for them.
Yeah, this whole match, I enjoyed the match as a whole. Bellas and Ronda ended up winning. One note, I'm realizing now that Ronda's like angry flurry of punches look soft.
They do look soft. It's like Shane McMahon's.
They look like punches that I would throw at my 7-year-old nephew.
And I think
because I'm not trying to actually hurt.
And I think that's okay though, because all of us were used to seeing wrestlers who have come up and have years upon years of indie experience or just straight up wrestling experience, where your whole focus is to not injure the person, you know, to work with them. And Ronda comes from a background where she is literally trying to rip people's arms off. Yeah. So finding that balance is gonna be hard. Finding the ability to pull up on your punches an inch away from them while maintaining speed is huge. It's a tough skill to develop, right? So it's gonna come with time. If it doesn't start coming, I think she needs a change in maneuvers. A straight up fury of punches is not the most exciting maneuvers, but I think as she learns these other transitional moves, she's going to veer away from using the punches, because then she can do other moves safely. Right now, a punch is very easy to throw, no matter how soft it looks.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I was happy about this match as a whole. It was a good match. It was well done, everything. I really enjoyed it. I really got invested in it. Like I said, Bellas and Ronda ended up winning. Then the big thing happened. You want to talk about it?
Heel turn.
Heel turn.
That's it.
Second heel turn in as many matches.
Raw certainly felt like they were trying to freshen things up, didn't they, with the heel turns?
Oh, yes, they were.
They were trying to freshen things up. It's nice to see Nikki Bella's back where she belongs. I don't care what anybody says. She's a top 10 female talent of all time, especially as a heel. She's going to do good in this match. It's going to be an entertaining match regardless of how you look at it. And it is going to be a big match feel. Nikki Bella versus Ronda Rousey, that is a big match. I don't care who says it isn't. It is.
Now, here's the thing. Like, is there any possibility that Nikki beats Ronda?
Yep, absolutely. 150%.
With help from Brie.
With help,
obviously.
yes. 150%.
She's not beating her clean, and I don't think she's going to beat her by cheating either, in the sense of like pulling the tights or holding the ropes or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. It's going to be a cheating, like Brie interferes somehow, right?
Yep. You want to know why I do think that there is a very real possibility? Because Vince McMahon is going to take one quick look at this idea that Nikki Bella beating Ronda Rousey. He's going to take a quick look at that and say, oh, the controversy, the internet explosion, the main event, the main event of our first ever all-women's pay-per-view is going to be trending all over social media. Oh, this is a gold mine. Let's do it. Like, you know, I bet you that's going through his head, because there is no such thing as bad publicity.
Yeah, it's going to be like Nikki Cena beats Ronda Rousey.
Nikki Cena?
Yeah, and then someone's going to be like, Vince, that never happened. Are you okay? I think, how old are you again?
Just a senile man.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah,
we got B&B, Balor and Bailey, or Bailey and Balor versus Mahalisha.
What a terrible name for them.
Honestly, though, it's terrible, but I love it even more because it's terrible.
It's so bad.
I know, but I love it because it's so bad.
Like, I didn't even know that was their name, because normally when I'm streaming, I've got like the volume turned down very low, right? I can't hear it very much. So I mostly do my own commentary, and not in a million years would I have ever looked at that team and said, okay, team name, Mahalisha. Like, not in the world? No.
It's so good, though. I love it. I love it. Quick note on this, too. The pre-match interview with B&B or earlier in the night. Lio Rush, this is where he won me back again after being kind of like awkward at moments on the mic, where I was just like, I don't care about that. When he said too sweet to Finn Balor, I was like, he's great. I love it. Back to Balor and Bayley versus Mahalisha. It was a fun match. Yeah. It was a fun match. Balor and Bayley, B&B won. Also, Balor and Bayley seem so friendly together, right? Like they just seem like they're sincerely very good friends out there doing something that both of them love to do together as a team and as a unit. And I'm like, that's nice.
It is. It's really
nice. That's all. I'm just like, that's nice to watch. Like
they're two clean-cut baby faces, aren't they? Like you just look at them and you say, like, we know as like us watching, we know that Finn Balor can have a sadistic heel side. We know that. We know he can.
Amazing heel.
And we will get it one day. There's no question about it. We will get it one day. But right now, Finn Balor and the Smiley go happy. Let's be good for the young fans. There's a need for that role. There is, you know? There's a need for a role of somebody who is going to be loved by every single fan. I think Finn Balor and Bayley are very comparable when you look at who they are in the women's and men's division. They're very much so on the same level, you know, like from in-ring talent. I would say they're both upper mid-card talent that could flirt with, like, you know, the main title from time to time. They're both very happy people. They're both beloved by the fans, which is why I think both of them could turn heel at any given moment and literally have the run of their life. Similar to Becky Lynch.
Yeah.
Very similar to Becky Lynch. But yeah, I like this team of Balor and Bayley. I like that they're working away on the Mixed Match Challenge. Question to you, though, man. Would you think WWE would benefit from a mixed match tag team title?
I was thinking about that watching this, actually, and I think because we talk about it all the time, I think the roster is as deep as it's ever been, if not deeper.
Which means you're going to need more titles. You are.
Exactly. And you don't want to overload it with titles, but at the same time, like, we talked about a television title. We talked about something else, right? Like, stuff like that is strictly just for your Monday Night Raw, Tuesday Night SmackDown, right? Like, maybe it doesn't ever get put on paper.
Yeah, and I think that would be okay. I would like to see more meaningful matches on Raw and SmackDown. I loved the idea that Daniel Bryan and Miz were fighting for a #1 contendership. Why? Because they were fighting for something.
And they don't do enough #1 contendership matches.
No, they don't. But that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
But if they do,
they'll do it like through a tournament way, and you're like, okay, that's whatever, fine. But they'll overdo that sometimes.
They will.
See the SmackDown Tag Team Tournament.
Yeah.
Back to back, right?
Yeah. Like it's sometimes it's like their crutch that they can fall back on. If you don't have any way to get a #1 contender, throw a tournament. And you know, tournaments are fine, like you said, every so often, but not back to back. But yeah, like if they started introducing more titles for just TV, like a television championship, maybe a mixed match tag team championship, because how much fun would that be? You know, titles that are okay to swap fairly often. And if you're just saying like you're worried about the prestige of a title, maybe these titles aren't your most prestigious ones.
No,
maybe
you don't care about those.
Yeah, maybe they're like the Hardcore Championship.
Yeah, that's literally what came to mind. The Hardcore title was not meant to be a prestigious title.
No,
right?
And like I think we take wrestling too seriously at times, and which is why I've been enjoying seeing the clips from the Mixed Match Challenge, seeing people out there just having fun. You know, they're not being held back. They're not looking like they're out there miserable, you know, because that they're putting their body on the line 5 days a week and wrestling 200 matches a year. Like they're obviously loving life because they get to travel the world, but it's a busy time. So if you started bringing more titles in, that would allow those undercard players who are not being utilized at this moment to come up and have meaningful matches, thus giving your main event players a break in the meantime. You know, you don't have to have Rollins, Ambrose, Ziggler, McIntyre, Strowman, and Reigns all in the same match every single time, right? You don't always have to have some mix-up of that. You can cut a promo
it starts building stables as well easier, like mixed stables. It starts building just this other thing where you're like, I can rely on this other person.
Yeah, and like I don't think there's any reason why we shouldn't eventually see a mixed match tag title, you know? Like, it would be very fun, and they could do it in a way like, you know, the mixed match challenge becomes a weekly show, a weekly half-hour show where the titles are kind of up for grabs, or there's a champion and there's contenders, and, you know, you're randomly placed on the show. Like, there's ways they could do it if they didn't want to put it on Raw.
You know what it would be great for?
What's
it would be great if they did it on Monday Night Raw and didn't, because 3 hours is so long. But if you have a 20-minute mixed match challenge segment, it's fun. It kind of like is your calming, like, oh, nice. This has no point to the rest of the night, but it's fun.
You know what it should be? It should be used as the second last go home slot. You know what I mean? That spot where people normally go and have a match that's a meaningless match. There's very rare a match that goes on second to last that is a meaningful match, because people don't remember it, right? You remember stuff that happened earlier in the night.
Yeah,
you remember the main event.
Says you, Gable and Roode versus Ascension, big guy.
Well, like, no, that happened, but you see what I mean? Like, the reason that was a meaningful match was because of the ending, and we'll talk about that. Which we're gonna have to roll through this really quick, aren't we? All right.
Speaking of tournaments, moving on to the next one was that Battle Royale that we got. You want to talk about it?
I loved it.
I know you loved it.
I'm gonna say it right now, is my match of the week. I see, once again, us talking about how if WWE just has fun, sometimes it creates magic. Talk about Truth TV with the dance segment. Talk about now the Global Battle Royal. It reminded me so much of the gimmick Battle Royal we saw at WrestleMania 13, 12, 14, maybe 17, somewhere in there. Some WrestleMania.
Somewhere between 1 and 34.
Exactly.
Somewhere between 1 and 34, we saw that
gimmick Battle Royal. It reminded me a lot of that. I loved that Baron Corbin put himself in that matchup. What a dick move.
It was super obvious, but it was such a classic heel thing, especially
he's in
heel thing as the manager, like,
and then to lose it. And he loses it to the returning Kurt Angle.
El Quistador.
Is that how you pronounce it? El Quistador?
I don't know. I thought that was it.
But like, regardless,
but it was unmasked. It was Kurt Angle all along,
and it was amazing, eliminating Baron Corbin. He returns from his vacation. And now he's going to Saudi Arabia to compete in the Crown Jewel World Tournament, or World Cup Championship, whatever they're calling it now.
Yeah, to find out who the best in
North
the world
American
is.
Yeah, to find out who the best North American is. Let's be real. In this matchup right now, it's John Cena.
It's 4 Americans.
Yeah, John Cena, Kurt Angle. Who else is in there?
It's 4 Americans. It's John Cena, Kurt Angle, Jeff Hardy, and Randy Orton.
Yeah, that's it. Like,
it's 4 Americans who
for a World Cup. The World
90s
Cup
into the mid 2000s for the World Cup. And what's even crazier is that I just like, I don't know. It's just hilarious to me. Like, it's 4 Americans that aren't up and comers. I don't even know that there's been any non-Americans in the qualifying matches yet, other than that Battle Royal.
Like, and I mean, you got to look at next week where you're getting another qualifying match between Rey Mysterio and Shinsuke Nakamura. And
so we have our first non-American.
Well, yeah, first non-American, but you got to also believe that Rey Mysterio is probably going to win that one, and the age group of these superstars is way up there as well. I read a tweet here today, and I'm just gonna credit this person. It's at TM Siriland on Twitter, but he says this is how the World Cup should have been laid out, and I 100% agree with this. Cena from the USA, Owens from Canada, Nakamura from Japan, Mysterio from Mexico, TJP from the Philippines, Kofi Kingston from Jamaica for one night only. That would have been hilarious. Cesaro from Switzerland, Rusev from Bulgaria, Murphy from Australia, Balor from Ireland, Jinder from India, Daivari from Iran, and Killian Dane from North Ireland. That wouldn't have been hard to put together, would it?
English from England.
Yeah. It wouldn't have been hard to put together, right? a World Cup that makes sense being a World Cup. You would think you would have had somebody representing each country. But what it is, honestly, at the end of the day, is it's just probably some Saudi prince over there who is buying WWE to come over here, said, I want to see all of my favorite superstars from the yesteryear. You know, I want to see Cena, I want to see Angle, I want to see Mysterio.
Well, they're doing a lot of gimmicky things throughout the night to, again, like, because it's a pay-per-view, but it's a glorified house show.
Yeah, it is a glorified house show. Yeah, for sure it is.
Right? Like, we're getting Brothers of Destruction versus DX. We're getting this mega 90s, 2000s superstars tournament and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But moving on, though.
Welcome back,
Kurt. Welcome back, Kurt. And it was hilarious just seeing him come. I loved it because he was in this bodysuit, head to toe covered, and then he got in and hit the triple German and then hit the angle slam or Olympic slam.
When he was sitting on the outside of the ring, I didn't notice that it was going to be Kurt Angle until it showed his eyes. And as soon as I saw his eyes, I'm like, that's Kurt. But like his dance that he was doing there is just like, what dance are you doing, Kurt?
It was a great segment.
Oh, I loved it. But yeah, you're right. We got to move on. What's up next?
Moving on, Naya versus Ember. Do you want to talk about this one mainly because I can't remember who won, to be honest?
So Moon beat Nia Jax.
It was a fine match. I thought that it was Moon.
Yeah,
it was a fine match.
Via count out though. That's how that one ended.
And then Naya raised Ember's hand.
Yeah, honestly, man, what you're describing right here is literally the segment. It was a forgetful segment, and I think that's okay.
There.
It was there. Whether this is going to be used,
not taking anything away from either wrestler, but it was just kind of not phenomenal segment.
When the idea of a match is built around countouts, like a countout victory, it can work to some extent, but if overused, it slows the match down too often. If
it's a pointless countout too, like that.
And I also
I don't like Smackdown made sense.
Yeah, I don't also like seeing a referee constantly counting during a match, count when you need to, ref, but for years upon years, refs have pick and chose when they want to start the count. You don't need to always have the count going, and the referee in this match, it seemed like he wouldn't shut up.
Also WWE makes it very obvious when the ref is counting. They focus in on the ref, and you hear them very vocally, I don't know, it's weird. Moving on though, great segment in my mind coming up. Trish comes out, Trish Stratus, that is. Bliss and Mickey come out. They start trash talking. They get in the ring. They're talking to Trish. Trish is talking back. They're just talking trash. And then they suggest, maybe Mickey will team up with Alexa at Evolution. And then Trish says, a tag team match? That means that I'll have to find a tag team partner.
And of course,
who else but Lita?
Oh man!
And
dude.
I realized in this segment, I think I have been wrong my entire life, or at least my entire adult life to this point, because constantly I say to people, Trish Stratus is my favorite female wrestler of all time.
Are you changing it on me, man?
And I think it's Lita.
No way. How?
I honestly think it's Lita.
You are totally an Edge fan through and through, aren't you?
You know what it was? Just seeing her come out felt so familiar and felt so good. And seeing her in that role, and I was like, she's wonderful. And she was this different women's wrestler from a time of women's wrestling that was obviously forgetful in some cases and great in others, and she did everything well. She could do the sexy, she could do the extreme, she could do the in-ring, and she could do on the mic. She did everything so well. You loved to hate her when she was Lita with Edge. You loved to love her when she was Lita with Team Extreme. And you heard it here first. Hot take. Breaking the news on the Con and Bob podcast. Bob's favorite female wrestler of all time is Lita.
No.
With Trish a close second. Close second.
Some breaking news here on the Con and Bob podcast.
That's it. Call it. It's a show. That's
she's
a
over.
wrap.
She's done.
We'll see you next week.
Right.
Great segment. I'm excited for this tag team match.
I am too.
I'm excited to see Lita back in the ring. I'm excited to see Trish in the ring. I'm excited to see their work with Mickie James, and Alexa, I think, is the right person for this match.
I agree. I was saying on the stream that Alexa Bliss, you could honestly plop her right in with Mickie James, Lita, and Trish Stratus back in that era, and she would fit in as well. So
yeah, she would have been the fourth of those.
Yeah,
like,
she would have been the number. She would have been the fourth. So it's really cool to see her in here. I've always said this, that I think that Alexa Bliss reminds me of a mini heel Trish, big time. Is like from facial expressions to talent in the ring. She reminds me a lot of a mini Bliss or mini Trish. So that's okay. But yeah, good segment. I think this story. No, one sec. Bring her back. Yeah, no, like I do think though the idea was the entire time to have this be the match, regardless of us getting announced, Trish versus Alexa originally, and then Mickie versus Lita originally. I think the goal was for this to become a tag team match because on paper it's going to work better. You bring two solo matches, which are arguably going to be the same match, you just different characters. You're going to plug and play who you want, where and where. But now that you bring them into a tag match, you are going to let them go for maybe a little longer, extra 5-7 minutes, and they can really deliver a solid match. So I'm excited for it.
So also I realized that this doesn't, like, the want is to give the Hall of Famer the win, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that's like the immediate, like, oh, Trish should get the win, but it kind of hurts your current superstar
in Alexa?
Yeah, in Alexa. So the aspect of making it a tag match, maybe Mickey's there to eat the pin, which is unfortunate, but she's been pinned by both those women before. So
I can see that. I do think that the legends are probably going to walk away with the win.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
As a tag team match, the legends can win and everybody can go home happy until Nikki Bella beats Ronda.
Unless Trish is there to do the job.
Yeah.
Like, Trish could be there to do the job for the next up-and-coming talent who's going to be around for the next 10 years. I mean, at some point, you gotta pass it on, right?
Yeah.
It could be her last hurrah. They say you go out on your back, and I'm not sure Trish is going to have another run after this.
Well, she won her retirement match initially,
exactly.
Right?
So, like,
in her hometown, like, that woman broke the rules to another level.
Oh, she did.
Like, no,
we're not doing this. We're going out on my terms, with me raising my hand. But let's talk a little bit about Bobby Roode and Chad Gable.
Gable and Roode versus the Ascension. Ascension. You know what? It's kind of obvious right now that they're favoring Conor.
Yep, for sure. It's what else? Can I jump in here?
Sounds good. Yeah.
Can I jump in here? With Conor and the Ascension and Gable and Roode, this has been actually fairly intriguing because now after recent weeks of seeing the same matchup, I think it's been like 6 weeks now straight of seeing some sort of integration of this matchup. That's okay. We got through that tough part. Now we're getting to the juicy meat stuff. Conor has won on his own, right? He won on his own twice. Victor, every time he tags with him, he cannot win. Wonder if there's going to be a split there. Bobby Roode and Chad Gable, showing seams of Bobby Roode not liking Chad Gable's overambition. He's too wild at points. He tags himself in.
Stole the win tonight.
Exactly. He stole the win when Bobby Roode had it completely locked in. And we've also seen this in the past 3 weeks. Chad Gable's tagged himself in at every single given moment that he's possibly had, or not last 3 weeks, last 3 tag matches, I should say. But no, this has been really good. And now the inclusion of AOP, who comes out and says, okay, we're done with this crap of these mediocre tag teams stealing our spotlight. We are here, and this is the AOP that I'm excited for.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They looked awesome. Drake Maverick has
that jacket.
Buddy. I was just gonna say he's finally found what the look needs to be.
Yep.
That all black t-shirt, black pants with the AOP green leather jacket. It honestly, it doesn't even need to be that kind of like leathery jacket. It could be like a legitimate like kind of military-esque jacket, but that dark green to kind of polar opposite AOP, where they have the black shirt with the green pants, the green jacket with the black pants, black shirt. That's the look. Stick with it, Drake. I know you're listening. Rockstar, keep it going. You're a stud. You're a spud.
You're a spud. I like that. The spud of the week goes to Drake Maverick.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the matchup overall, like I think we're gonna have to get moving here.
It was fine.
Yeah, it was fine. It was fine. Paul Heyman came out next. He delivered a great promo. You want to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, he's amazing. He honestly, the man, just every time he has a microphone in his hands, he continues to remind me when I already knew that he's the best. Remind me like, oh, this dude talks better than anyone in the history of sports entertainment.
Yes, without a doubt. Him and Vince McMahon, I would say, are right there with each other. There's a way, like, just when those two guys, they step in the ring and they hold that microphone, I notice the same type of charisma or the same type of, I can't take my eyes off this person. You know, you're
also The Rock,
the
obviously.
The Rock as well, yeah, The Rock as well. But I mean, like, for their style of promos for a non-wrestler, there's very, very few who have done it better than Paul Heyman here. Like, he might be the best of all time. And then we got the main event there, man. This match,
fantastic match.
Oh, like, people I saw on Twitter, they were like, we didn't want to see a rematch. We saw this 2 days ago. What is WWE doing? They're forcing the same people down our throats. And all I could think of, the match at Super Showdown was great. These guys are going to get to do it again? Why the hell are people not excited for a rematch?
Yeah.
Like, for me, watching a rematch is almost as good, if not sometimes better than the original. You know the story now. And like when you compare it to UFC, people pay thousands upon thousands of dollars to go see a big hyped rematch. And this is your top 6 stars on Raw right now. Why the hell are you not excited to see it all the time? Like, let them fight forever.
Fight forever.
Sorry, I just had to get that off my chest. I saw so many people complaining on Twitter.
Honestly, though, that match itself was literally my first 3 bullet points are like, great, damn good match, amazing. Just because, like, the match just kept going on, and I was like, yeah, this is great. The match is it's a damn good match. I was like, no, this match is amazing. Like, everything was so good.
Everything connected. Everything.
Drew versus Braun is something that I want to see.
That's a money match. I didn't really think about that. That's a money match.
So good. Yeah, just like, and the Dean thing at the end,
Loved
obviously.
It. Do you want to hear a cool fact? A really cool fact here. Dean Ambrose walked out on the Shield in the same hometown, or the same town as Seth Rollins turned on the Shield. Same town, same building. Yep, that happened. Pretty cool.
Yeah, it was just a damn great segment of wrestling, and I'm excited. It had tons of little things. Their backstage things earlier in the night were great. The aspect of, like, you saw the little bit of that potential Dean versus Drew, like, split, and then you saw the Dolph versus Drew split, and then you saw the potential, like, Drew versus Braun, and then everyone in that match, they're all just great wrestlers and wrestling.
Mm-hmm. It was just fantastic. Well done.
Kudos.
Great match.
Raw,
especially coming off the fact that they were just in Australia, like, not too long before. Like, the amount of jet lag they must have had would have been incredible.
Oh my god, I know.
Oh, I can't even begin to imagine.
It would have been almost like a full day's jet lag.
Yeah,
like,
seriously.
That's insane.
Insane.
And what a way to end it, and what a way to start SmackDown Live. You end Raw phenomenal, and you start SmackDown phenomenal.
No entrances.
You heard Becky's music.
Oh, like, that's the way to start a show. I don't know about you, but I want more shows to start like that. If you're going to have a
just
championship
in the ring
match,
and be like, wait, we're having a championship match to kick off the night?
Why wouldn't we want to see that? Like, that is, I've never really thought about that, but the women kicking off the shows, like any pay-per-view with the title on the line or something like that, what a great spot that would be in, because they say, like, the co-main event slot is not the spot you want to be in. You either want to be first or last, because those are the two matches people remember the most. And I think that is a very good position if WWE wants to start flirting with that idea to mix up their shows, to opening a show with a championship match if you got like a women's title on the line or a tag title on the line for that night. I don't think the WWE or Universal Champion should start off the show with like a title match. That should be the main event.
But your mid-cards, your tag teams, or your women's definitely could be that starter, and it should be.
How cool would it be to like also get like an open challenge to start off a show? Like right away, open challenge. Who is going to answer? Like hype it up for next week. Next week, starting off the show, whoever comes out first will be answering this open challenge, and you hype it up for another week. And start hyping up matches for the next week like NXT does. You know, they constantly promote, in 2 weeks' time, we are having this big match. In 1 week time, we're having this big match. So you can keep promoting things like that and start it off the show with a big match just like this.
Yes, and this match was a big match, and it was a damn good match. And I want to give a quick shout out to the producers of this match. I don't know who the producer was, but that match was done very well in a lot of ways. Really just like it was the little things that you could tell, like, oh, this was put together phenomenally. Like this was it wouldn't shock me if they were like, oh yeah, Finlay put that match together. I'd be like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
That does make sense. I also love the way that the finish set up perfectly the new stipulation. Loved it.
Becky looked amazing. She was great with rolling out of the ring constantly. Just
one thing I want WWE to be very careful with this character of Becky Lynch. She is known for taking the fight to people. Don't put in too many tendencies to want to be a little bit of a coward. I know WWE likes to play their heels off as cowards. Becky Lynch can't dive into that role of running away from a fight too much.
I like the idea. Right? I like the idea of being smart, like rolling out of the ring after
like Kevin Owens
selection,
like Kevin Owens,
things like that. But I don't necessarily know how I feel about the idea of just like, I'm done with this match, I'm gonna walk away. Right?
Because she's done that a few times, and there's also been a few times where Charlotte brings the fight to her, and she's trying to escape. And these are the little characteristics that WWE tries to sneak into every single heel. And I think the mistake is that Becky Lynch snapped because she felt she wasn't getting her way. She felt she wasn't getting delivered the opportunities that Charlotte was. Nothing else changed. Her fire's always been there, right? Her love for the business has always been there, and she's still the last kicker, so it wouldn't make sense to change her character too much to the point where she becomes a coward as opposed to being the beloved fighter that we fell in love with, and the reason why fans still continue to chant her name. You can't lose that with Becky Lynch. You just can't.
The match ended as a double countout, as you said, which led into their announcement for Evolution, which ended up being Becky was walking off after the countout, trying to leave, and Charlotte kept bringing the fight to her. Spear through the LED wall at the start of the show was baffling to me. I'm like, you're just going to destroy your set.
I love that.
The first segment, I loved it.
I loved it because it continued throughout the show. The set was still broken throughout the show. I love that.
And then Charlotte's blood. Just a great segment to open up. Obviously led to Paige later in the night announcing that we're getting the rematch at Evolution, and it is the first ever last women's standing match.
False.
In WWE.
False.
I know. False. I knew it was false when she said it, but the first ever last woman standing match in WWE main card.
Yeah, like I get why they're labeling it as the first ever last woman standing match, because if you compare it to how things used to be, like let's say 8-10 years ago when FCW was still around, if you had a women's last man standing match or last woman standing match down there, you wouldn't have counted it up on the main roster at all. So it's kind of like Vince is still stuck in that mindset that NXT is not WWE. However, that is where Vince's disconnect is, where he's not really realizing that NXT is WWE, that it is another brand, and that you can't just discredit every single thing that happened in NXT because it's not WWE.
Yeah.
Right? No, you can't just discredit your own history, because that was built up to be the first ever last woman standing match. Why?
Yeah.
You can't just do it again. That would be like saying building up towards Bayley versus Sasha for their 30-minute Iron Woman match, right? And then literally saying on WWE TV, after you have promoted that match had happened, that we are doing the first ever women's Iron Man match, right? Like, come on.
Does it sound weird though if you add on the main roster to it?
Yes, because then that also does every single thing against what WWE has been doing. They're trying to present like their NXT call-ups as these legitimate stars, right?
Yeah.
Former NXT champion, they talk about that all the time, right? They talk about how Kevin Owens was a former NXT champion. They talk about how Finn Balor was. So it's not like they're discrediting NXT. But when you just purposely ignore your own history to build a match to be bigger, and you get called out about it on all over social media, that's just a mistake on a company's level. You don't got to build up everything as the first time ever. People are okay with just watching a last woman standing match, and that being the thing that sells you on it. You don't have to have everything first time ever, right?
Very much so. Mm-hmm. Agree. But speaking of mistakes, do you think it's kind of terrible transition? Do you think it's kind of funny that when a face limb targets, the commentary is like, "Oh, this is brilliant by them. Look at, like, this is so smart." But when a heel limb targets, it's like, "This is awful."
Yes.
He's just targeting his limb. Like, I'm like, you can't do that.
Yeah,
just because
that's commentary
Jeff
bias.
Hardy's
right?
taking out Joe's knee, can't be like, Jeff Hardy's smart. Like, commentary
bias is one thing that does irk me with WWE. I know that they're put there to play their own roles, right? Renee's the babyface, Michael Cole's the play-by-play, Corey Graves is the heel. Like, that's what it's there for. But you can't just have Michael Cole, who's supposed to be the unbiased commentator, talking like it's a vicious thing, right? Of course, Renee Young's going to be hating it when the heels are doing that to the baby faces, and Corey Graves is going to be loving it because that's their roles, and that's why a 3-man commentary booth does work, because you do have that to play off of. But when it doesn't work is when Michael Cole is taking the baby face's side. It doesn't work like that, because that sounds
this was
like...
Tom Phillips. This was Tom Phillips.
I know. I'm talking about Michael Cole.
Yes.
Like, Michael Cole specifically, he's really bad at doing that.
But this was Tom Phillips.
This was Tom Phillips,
yeah. But it's fine. Joe versus Jeff is what I'm talking about. It just kind of is weird, but it was a very good match. The storytelling of the match was great.
See, I was just okay with this matchup. I didn't think it was all that fantastic. I
really liked it for the storytelling aspect of continuously going back to Joe's knee.
Yeah, like, that was the thing though. Like, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the fact that Joe was still selling the injury. Why is Jeff not selling an injury?
Yeah,
this is the first time we've seen him back, right? Or have we seen him since Hell in a Cell? I can't remember.
This was his first match back.
First match back. He just went through Hell in a Cell with Randy Orton, who put a screwdriver through his ear and twisted it. You went crashing through a table off the freaking Hell in a Cell. Like, he went crashing face first. I don't know why there wasn't, like, some injured ribs for Jeff Hardy or something like that, to play on the fact that both him and Samoa Joe were injured in this matchup, and then either one had the possibility of losing, that Joe was just more injured than Jeff was. I would have liked to see that. I don't know why WWE didn't play on that, but the match was okay for me. It just didn't connect for me, because I'm used to seeing Samoa Joe as this badass heel, and regardless of the storytelling being told in the ring, it just seems weird him not being able to get up to his feet and being the badass that we know.
Yeah. I put at the end of this, I can't remember why, How did that finish again? Like Jeff won.
Oh yeah, Jeff won because the ref told
no
the
finish,
stop.
Yeah,
like the ref told the match to stop.
Finish.
That's why it was weird for me as well, because Joe not being able to get back up on his feet. Come on, Joe. Like, it's Samoa Joe. He's the badass. He took it to Brock Lesnar, and he can't take it to Jeff Hardy because of a bum knee.
I don't know. The match itself, like, was whatever. It could have been much better. I enjoyed the storytelling, like I said, of the continuing Joe's knee thing, and throughout it, showing that. But yeah, it was just fine. Jeff advances to the World Cup, as we spoke about. Miz TV, AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan. Very good segment.
Loved it.
Yeah, okay.
Loved it. Every second of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great segment. Miz is great. He was told by Paige to be respectful and professional.
Which
and
I loved.
He does it in like a tongue-in-cheek kind of way. And then Daniel Bryan comes out and continues to rip on Miz, calling him the 2-minute man in more ways than one, and yada yada yada. And it's just great.
Also, side note, the small package underlying joke with that was hilarious. That was hilarious.
Yeah. Yes. And then Miz obviously ripping on them, like, you guys are so boring. Nobody wants to see you guys shake hands, blah 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 blah. Like, and then just like the Miz is literally the best current heel easily, and he's the best current talker as a wrestler in the WWE.
Yeah.
In my mind, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's right there. Trying to think if there would be anybody that could be better than him. Yeah, you might be right on that. I can't really think of anybody who would be right up there with him for promo level. There's Dolph Ziggler, who has grown leaps and bounds recently, but he doesn't touch the Miz even yet. So that's yeah, man. I think I'm right there with you.
Just a great segment led into Shelton versus AJ. AJ
underrated
picked up
match.
The victory there.
Underrated
match.
Yeah,
it was a good match. It was a
good.
solid match. Shelton's always great in the ring. AJ's obviously the best in the world.
I did love how they continued on from last week. Daniel Bryan getting beat by Shelton Benjamin. So of course it makes sense for AJ Styles to get a match with Benjamin, right? Like, they're gonna face each other.
Of course.
I love little storytelling like that, where it just makes sense why they would be fighting that person. Because in WWE, these are people who are supposed to be fighting each other for nothing sometimes, and that makes sometimes no sense, right? So you got to give it reason why there is a fight going on.
Yeah, I also, side note, quick back to Miz, I loved that he kind of just snapped finally, and he got out of the ring too. That's a little thing that I don't think a lot of people realize. He stepped out of the ropes before he went off, just in case they went after him.
Yep.
And he started talking the truth to them and being like, you, like, blah, I've beaten you, I knocked you out, yada yada yada. Like, the difference between you and me, you beat me by a fluke small package and I knocked you out.
And his shoulder wasn't even down. Like, yeah.
And like that whole thing. And then he's like, you're a charity case. And then just ripping on AJ Styles and saying you've held the title for the last almost year, but it's never been this irrelevant. And just, again, he goes back to that same thing that he did with the Intercontinental title when he held it, saying like, he will make a belt feel more prestigious, make it feel more like it matters.
You want to know why? You want to know why he does that?
I'm excited. I hope that he gets it.
The reason why he is able to do that, though, and to get a championship over, is because he's a character, and we lack true characters in WWE right now. We do. We really do. Yeah. Everybody's an extension of themselves. He's a character.
Oh, he is, because you see him in things outside of it, and he's a completely different person, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, like, just even from his name, The Miz, that's not a real name. You know?
No, it's literally a short form, right? Like, it's his last name, Mizan, and it's probably, he grew up being called Miz, right?
Probably.
Like, because like it's just a short form of his last name. It's like many short form variations of last names you can go with and as a nickname, and that was probably what he was called, and he made it this character. And we don't have a lot of true characters.
No, we really don't. Like right now, our character selection would be Braun Strowman. You can look at Rusev Day, like, or Rusev kind of has a gimmick going on, but Dolph
maybe
yeah,
is a
character, but like,
as far as like his speaking aspect, I don't think that's his.
I don't think that's the way he speaks either. No, but like you start looking through the WWE and you're missing out on characters.
Velveteen. This is why Velveteen is so good, because that dude is a character.
Yes, exactly. And there is always going to be a need for characters in WWE, always. And he
All
is
right, let's wrap this up quick, these last couple segments.
Yep, we're going a little long today, aren't we?
Yeah.
we had a lot to talk about.
Shelton and AJ were good. AJ won. Miz and Daniel Bryan were on commentary, both great throughout it. They continued bickering, and it was just a nice segment. Yeah, it was just a good match with good commentary. That's good commentary, when you have each of them on commentary.
I like it too.
And they bicker at each other, and you visibly see them on opposite sides of the table, which is great. And then we moved into Aiden Day, Rusev Day, Lana Day. You want to talk about it? I know you want to talk about it.
Just honestly, in this one, to me, it didn't make any sense. Why the hell is Lana so scared when she knows how that tape ends? Why couldn't she just say, on the end of that tape, he tried to make a move on me, and I walked out of the room? You know, if your relationship is so strong, that why Lana's so freaking out about this tape? Like, what's on the end of the tape? What happened in Milwaukee? Why is she like talking to Rusev, saying like, Rusev, there's more to this to explain? Like, no, there's not. I walked into a room, a guy, your friend, tried to hit on me, and I denied him. You should probably know there, Rusev. Like, what?
Yeah, the one thing too with this is I kind of laughed at is a couple things. Obviously, like, I love the whole Aiden Day thing, like the Aiden Day, whatever. It's fine, it's good, it's whatever. The segment itself wasn't great, like, for many reasons, including obviously what you said.
Like,
I laughed at him.
That's also the disappointing part about this, is because I was excited to see. I was hoping they were going to do something big with this. It felt like it was going to be something big. They were building up for 2 weeks. Like, you know, it was a letdown. What did we get out of this other than Aiden and Rusev a match eventually?
Yeah.
What did we get out of this?
Yeah, it was a letdown. Kind of like Aiden getting rejected by Lana. Letdown.
Like, if they wanted to test that, they should have had that. Like, the video, maybe the video could have been something like, you know, he comes in, he makes the move, Lana doesn't pull away right away, and then she leaves the room. You know, like a simple little kiss. Like, he makes the move. Everybody can think of a moment in their life where they've been advanced on by somebody who maybe they weren't really interested in, but they still went through it anyways, or for whatever reason.
Or like got close, or
got close. You know, that moment of excitement. You know, you get close. So they could have done more with that, and continue to fiddle with this idea of, is Lana gonna join up with Aiden, or is she gonna show her a true allegiance to Rusev? That's where this story should have been. It shouldn't have went off of, like, you know, Aiden got rejected by Lana. It should have been not necessarily a love triangle, but who is Lana gonna choose? And it could have morphed into something like that, and their matchup would have had just that much more intensity behind it. Or Aiden could have kept making advances towards Lana, and that gets Rusev angry, right?
Yeah, like a classic Mega Powers scenario.
Yes, like there could have been a lot more done with this, but for a mid-card feud, I mean, it's going to be Rusev who wins in the end, right? It should be. Also,
side note, hilarious that Aiden was kind of like he's treating Rusev as like he was a puppy.
Yeah.
He's like, "Come here, boy!" Like, literally said, like, "Come on, buddy."
Yeah.
And then also, like, why would Rusev be like, "Oh, we know how this tape ends. You hooked up with my wife. You're right. I'm gonna leave her and join you, my best friend, who hooked up with my wife. You betrayed me arguably more than she did."
Yeah, like, it's just,
oh god,
it's one of those things where to kids it made sense. It made sense, and WWE does have to make their show towards kids, because let's face it, you and me, our age group, we're the minority of that watches. We really are. We're the minority that feeds money into WWE. There's a lot of kids from the ages of 16 to down to 5 who watch WWE. And that is who they try to pander towards sometimes. And that was just one of those storylines that they pandered towards the wrong audience. It could have been a more mature line. Instead, we got the simple nothing happened line.
Yeah, but you know what I will give to this segment I did enjoy was the very end of it when Aiden said, "Okay, fine. Just so you know, the offer still stands. When you get tired of the Rusev days, maybe you can join me for an Aiden night."
Yes.
And like that is my quote of the week. Aiden night. Join me for an Aiden night was just that was the one shining moment of this entire segment. I'm like, if that line was the only line in the segment, it would have been hilarious.
It would have been. Can you imagine?
Segment.
This whole week builds up to him, and he says, "Hey, Lana, when you get tired of that Rusev day, or those Rusev days, come have an Aiden night." And then just walks off.
This is amazing.
What?
What's happening?
What? Yeah, no, I would have been the exact same way. Yeah. Let's talk a bit about the main event, though. Randy Orton versus Big Show in the World Cup qualifier. Orton wins.
Nice to see Show. It was a fine match. It was.
Yeah, that's there you go. There you go. That's literally what it was.
Nice finish. The thumb to the eye, which then led into the RKO.
By the way, the RKO, when Randy Orton gets up that tall, it makes you really notice how tall Big Show is. The way he had to jump to deliver that RKO, he took a running leap at it.
Yeah, also Big Show sold that great. Like
Big Show's great. He gets
the
so
fact that
much
Big Show
flack.
hasn't wrestled. The fact that Big Show hasn't wrestled in like over a year, and he even then he's massive. He's like a massive human being. So generally they're not the most agile, and he can sell an RKO like 100 times better than Jinder Mahal ever did.
Yeah, Jinder Mahal was rough.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That's SmackDown.
That was SmackDown. Quick little, we're not going to talk too long about it, but NXT this week, if you are looking for a show to watch, or a match to watch, make sure you check out the triple threat main event between Ricochet, Adam Cole, and Pete Dunne for the North American Championship. Phenomenal match. Phenomenal.
I can imagine so, yeah.
Oh, really, really good. It's going to come up just shy of the 5 stars, I think. We might get a 4.75 there. From Big Daddy Dave, you know. But yeah, I guess we can we're a little over time here. We don't have too much more time to talk about it. So I guess let's just say Conor McGregor versus Khabib, that brawl at the end, man. Do you have any takes on it?
Sorry?
The Conor and Khabib brawl at the very end. Any takes on it? Did you see it happen, or are you kind of
Yeah, I saw it happen. Yeah. It's weird. It's very WWE.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
As a wrestling fan, it's funny when things like that happen in UFC and people
are
like, "Oh my god, this
it.
is." But it's funny because people who will rip on WWE will then see that and be like, "This is so entertaining."
Oh yeah,
and I'm like, "That's what I watch weekly. What are you talking about?"
I know.
That's what you rip on me for watching.
We're literally here loving the storylines with the fighting, and then they get an actual fight that happens, and they're like, "Oh my god, we're losing our mind. This is so disrespectful to the sport." And you gotta think, did you seriously not expect this? These two guys hate each other. You seriously not expect it?
Here's my take, quick. The fight itself, going into it, I said to a lot of my buddies that are big UFC guys, because I'm not a huge UFC guy, is I think Khabib, I've watched Khabib fight. I think Khabib could win. If it gets to the ground, 100% Khabib's going to win. And my buddies were like, "No, Conor's got this." And I was like, I don't know, man. Khabib has this thing when he gets you to the ground that he just knows how to tire you. Mm-hmm. He knows how to win, right? And then on top of that, the guy can hit, he can strike. So not phenomenally, but he can, right? So I was like, I don't know. I think this might go a different way than what we're all expecting, unless he tries to strictly stand up with Conor. And it's just
which he did for a couple rounds there, and he lost those 2 rounds.
Yeah. And so that's the thing. And then he ended up winning by tap out, which it always annoys me too when they get like a neck crank rather than like the actual chokehold. I'm like, that's just uncomfortable, man. Like, that's not making him tap because of like he's losing his breath. I'm like, that's just positioning his head weird. Whatever, it's fine.
It was a very entertaining fight. Kind of cool little side note here. In real time, the moment I hit 100,000 subscribers, Conor tapped out.
Really?
If you watch back the stream, the moment I hit 100,000 subscribers, or like just very slightly after, Conor tapped out. So much was going on the stream at the same time. Like, it was crazy.
That's craziness, buddy.
My take on the fight, Dana White should have had more security out there. I think
he had a ton.
But I think this is one of those things where he knew something was going to happen and he let it happen just without doing it. You know what I mean? Like, he kind of let it happen without knowing for sure it was going to happen. If you're worried, if you're legitimately worried about guys from inside the octagon leaving and attacking other teams or risking fan safety and all that, just line the outside of the octagon with security. Khabib would never have gotten over. If you were legitimately worried about it. I saw the security they had in the ring, or in the octagon when they were starting off the fight. And I'm like, okay, this makes sense. These two guys are ready to kill each other. But those security guys, where the hell were they afterwards? They're all in the octagon. You see how easy it is for them to jump over the octagon. And that's exactly what happened.
In defense to that, there was some security outside that, like, were down below, and like Khabib literally jumped.
Oh, yeah.
Dove into the crowd at him feet first, right? Like, you saw that picture, right? In that video from that side. Like, it's crazy. But also on a defense side for that whole side of things, what you're arguing is, you just said it yourself. A lot was happening in that moment, hitting 100K, Conor tapping, whatever. In this moment, a lot is happening, right? Yeah. Like, people are checking on Conor, people are getting organized to do the announce, they're going to do the armor, and like, meanwhile, Khabib's like more agile than their security as well, because the security were just big dudes.
They were really fat little
they guys, were fat slow dudes. So Khabib just runs around them and literally hops over the cage with one leap, like
freakish
leaps
athlete.
Over it, and then dives into the crowd at Conor's buddy. So that's the thing, is like, and then what annoys me is after the whole aspect of, I get it, UFC is supposed to be about respect and this stuff, but also like how of a person, like, he's like, he talked about my family, my religion, my home, my country, and I'm like, I get it.
Oh, I get it too. He also threw a trolley or dolly, whatever it was, like threw a bus at his teammate.
That wasn't Conor's teammate. That was Conor.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. No, I know what you mean, but like, that's where like this continues to come from. Like, it's just.
And then on top of that, because he dives out, everyone's attention goes over there. So meanwhile, these other two of his teammates jump in and start beating at Conor.
Yeah. So I also saw somewhere, though, Conor did throw the first punch, which is the reason why Conor McGregor is suspended.
No, he didn't.
You sure about that?
Watch it back. He gets punched in the head from behind.
Is it behind? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, like, is that the guy? Is that the red guy who came over the thing?
He turns and swings at the guy.
So, are you talking about the guy who was on top of the cage that Conor swung at? Did you see that one? The guy who was on top of the cage, he swung at Conor McGregor swung first at that point, and that's what started the brawl inside the ring. That was as Khabib was jumping over and attacking Conor's team.
Oh, I didn't. So that
was the first punch that started the brawl in the ring. Khabib definitely jumped over and he started that chaos at ringside. But the
saw
chaos
while
in the
Khabib
ring
was gone over, like I saw someone run up and climb
so
over
the reason
cage.
why you saw that guy do that was because he saw Conor take a swing at the guy on his team as well, who was in the octagon with him. The guy was on the top of the cage, and Conor took a quick little swing at him there, and then that's where the guy in the red jumped the cage and attacked Conor from behind. I just saw that clip the other day, though. Like it totally could be false.
I'll watch that.
Yeah,
you
should watch it.
I'll take a look at it. Send that to me if you know where the clip is. So
Will do, man.
Yeah, I'll take a look at that. I don't know. Even then, I don't think Conor would have been swinging to swing, whereas those guys that jumped into the ring legitimately like swung at him.
That's true.
And then he swung at the guy after because he just got punched in the back of the head. And then he swung at him, and then meanwhile, everyone pulls him away, and a second dude comes from the other side and starts swinging at him. So, like, the thing, though, that it all kind of starts is that because Khabib did that, I think it gave his team permission, in a sense, like, oh, Khabib's doing that, so, okay, we can go after Conor.
You know, it drives back to the fact that you stick up for your team. You know, whether it be hockey, football, MMA, you stick up for your team. If you see somebody drop gloves or take a swing at one of your teammates, all bets are off. Think of a hockey game. You know, if the refs let it get out of control, like it got out of control here today, I know the refs and security are different, but same kind of idea. If the game or the situation gets out of control, then you stick up for your teammates. You don't let their backs hit the ground. You stick up for them, right? You have their backs. And that's exactly what happened there.
What I'm intrigued about is to find out the punishment coming forward from the Las Vegas Sports Commission.
Yes, that will be interesting.
And
I think
then
right now,
in turn, at that point, what Dana ends up doing because of that, right? Because you watched the press conference after, I assume.
Yep.
And just he's great, by the way. Dana, like, he knows how to play the game. He's been doing it for 18 years, so he knows how to like kind of be like, well, I'm waiting on them, and not really giving any answers. And then just like everyone keeps saying like, well, what's happening with this? And he's like, well, once they give me their answer, then I'll be able to assess the situation.
Yes, he'll do something like that. He'll say something along those lines. I do believe Conor McGregor had already tweeted out ready for the rematch or something along those lines as well. So Conor McGregor's playing the game. Khabib is still the champion. Whether that ends up staying the same, we don't know. I could see him being stripped of the title, very similar to how Conor was stripped of the title.
Not very similar because Conor was stripped for not defending his title because he wasn't.
Wasn't Conor stripped for like the tour bus incident, throwing the dolly there? Was he not? Am I just mistaken?
Khabib was already the champion at that point. Or no, he was going to be the champion that night or the next night.
Okay.
Remember, Conor was being stripped of it, and Dana had said,
"What was the punishment then for the throwing the trolley?" I know he went to court, and I know that he got arrested.
Jail.
Yeah, he went to jail.
That's the other thing. That's the other thing that baffles me. This dude went to jail because Khabib and Khabib's people pressed charges at him, whatever, said, yeah, take him to jail. And he spent the night in jail and everything, and they wouldn't let the charges go, apparently. Okay. And then Dana comes out and says Conor refuses to press charges. And I was like, that's scary to me, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
I'm like, Conor refuses to press charges. Is it because he's going to beat the piss out of these guys because he grew up in the streets of Ireland?
I'm thinking so, and that's where Dana
fighting and in the ring.
Dana's got to be right now drooling at the mouth. Like, I know he's going to have like a solid wall for the next while with this situation, right? He's not going to show anything. Like you said, he's very good at playing the game. But you gotta think, when he's alone in his room at night and he's sitting there with the TV on, he's not just drooling at the idea of a rematch.
Oh, he's loving it.
Like, come on. The fight, the brawl at the end, he's secretly like, okay, all right, this just made me so much money.
This is wrestling, man. This is literally what wrestling is. And people won't realize it. They'll be like, yeah, but it's real. And I'm like, yeah, but it's storytelling.
But it's storytelling, yeah, exactly.
And it's entertainment. And my favorite thing was I saw Dana White coming out of Vince McMahon's screenwriting class,
Yes.
and it was just like Vince McMahon walking down the the ramp.
So funny. So funny.
Good.
But dude,
congrats again.
Yeah, thank you very much, man, for the congratulations. Couldn't have done it without you. There's for sure, like, without your Bob fans here, there's definitely not 100K subs.
Obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
No, congrats, man. You deserve it.
Thank you, dude.
Big things, much. but I will have you know this, for all you listening, for Con Man yourself, I recall you saying that your goals were to hit 100K, and then goal number 2 was to make Con and Bob podcast a major success.
Exactly.
So
that's number 2
now that
on the
100K
list.
is done and gone, guess what number 1 is on the list?
Con and Bob podcast. Bay. Woo!
Speaking of Con and Bob, I've been Bob.
I've been Con. And that was the Con and Bob podcast.